We begin with the latest from the Indian subcontinent, where New Delhi rejected Dhaka's comments on violence in India's West Bengal state. Responding to Dhaka's remark urging, quote-unquote, protection of Muslim community in India's West Bengal state, New Delhi said that Bangladesh's comments are unwarranted and part of its virtue signalling. India described these remarks as Bangladesh's disguised and disingenuous attempt to draw a parallel with India's concerns over ongoing persecution of minorities in Bangladesh. New Delhi said that criminal perpetrators of attack on minorities continue to roam free in the neighbouring country. India also pointed out that Bangladesh would do better focusing on protecting the rights of its own minorities. The diplomatic sparring between the two sides follows the violence in India's West Bengal state, which borders Bangladesh. At least 3 people have been reportedly killed in the violence, with hundreds of arrests made to curtail the tensions. The violence broke out in the Murshidabad district earlier this month, amid protests against a new law governing management of the Waqf properties. A report citing government sources say that initial investigation suggests alleged involvement of Bangladeshi miscreants in the violence. Bangladesh has denied these reports. Meanwhile, as Dhaka makes what India has called unwarranted remarks on West Bengal violence, the spotlight is on the spree of violence faced by Bangladeshi minority communities since the ouster of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Bangladeshi rights groups have claimed over 2,000 incidents of communal violence, which include attacks on 100 Hindu temples, arbitrary arrests and Hindu priests, as well as incidents of looting, arson and vandalism. More than 200 people are reported killed in this violence since August of 2023. Now, the attack on Bangladesh's minorities has drawn condemnation from across the world, including from rights groups as well as from the governments of the UK and the US. However, Bangladesh's interim leader, Muhammad Yunus, has called the issue of anti-minority violence as exaggerated. Yunus maintains the attacks on minorities in Bangladesh are more political than communal. Amid incidents of violence, as the diplomatic sparring between New Delhi and Bangladesh continues, it's important to make sense of which way the relations between the two neighbours are headed. Now, to answer that and more, we have with us Ambassador Baswati Mukherjee. She is a former diplomat joining us live from New Delhi. Ambassador Mukherjee, welcome to Firstpost Spotlight.
Thank you very much.
Now, India and Bangladesh ties have witnessed turbulence since the interim government under Muhammad Yunus took over after Sheikh Hasina's ouster. Could the latest comment by Dhaka trigger a bigger diplomatic row?
Well, I don't think the relations could go any lower unless they actually result in a armed conflict between the two countries. In this particular instance, it is very well known that Bangladeshi miscreants were pushed across the border by, unfortunately, some elements of the local state government in West Bengal. And these miscreants went on a killing spree, loot, arson, etc., to the extent that you had the sorry spectacle of Bengali Hindus who've gone through partition 3 times from 1904, from the time of the British colonialists, having to cross the river Ganga to find shelter on the other side of the river in their own country, within their own state of West Bengal. Under those circumstances, what happened in Murshidabad and Malda actually demonstrates that Bangladesh is actively interfering in the internal affairs of India, and in particular in the internal affairs of West Bengal. Not to forget that when Yunus went to China, he had the gall to offer India's entire northeast to the Chinese, saying that this northeast is ready for your economic development, etc., as if it is for him to offer the uh, territorial integrity of India and its northeast to the Chinese. This is the extent to which Yunus has gone to try to provoke India, and we have not been provoked, but we have brought Yunus's attention in a dignified manner to tell him that during his short reign, illegal in my opinion, because there is no provision in the Bangladeshi constitution for such a long interim regime. There have been unprecedented attacks and lynchings, not just of Hindus and Hindu temples, but also of Buddhists, of Christians, and of Sufi shrines, which are all over Bangladesh, all over India for that matter. Sufi shrines which have been regarded as the symbol of Bengal's syncretic culture have been attacked for the first time under the so-called interim regime of Yunus. So I think that, as we have told him through our spokesperson, he would be better advised to put his own house in order and to stop these attacks, unprovoked attacks, which can only result in a full-fledged civil war in Bangladesh, which is already becoming a hub of jihadis and would lead Bangladesh inexorably to becoming a failed state, which would have grave implications for its neighbors, including India. We don't want Bangladesh to become a failed state or a jihadi hub, and for that, the responsibility for the moment, till he agrees to hold as fast as possible, and which has been demanded by all political parties in Bangladesh, free and fair elections with an elected government with whom we can do business, with whom we can talk. This is going from bad to worse day by day as we see it, Alison. So this is a matter which is of grave concern to the entire global community, including United States.
Right, Ambassador. And in the recent months, Bangladesh has witnessed growing unrest with radical Islamists targeting minorities, as you've mentioned, including the destruction of temples. Now, is this a move by the Yunus government to drive away attention from Bangladesh's internal crises?
It first of all demonstrates, Alison, that he is not in control of the internal law and order situation in Bangladesh. Because otherwise, a man who's been a Nobel laureate, a man who is an economist, he is actively participating in the destruction of what used to be one of the fastest growing economies in the region, the pride of South Asia. He is sitting there participating actively in its destruction. So I would say to Yunus, whom I know actually quite well, that as an economist, he is taking all the wrong actions. He is targeting prosperous business people of minority communities who were bringing prosperity to Bangladesh. He is making them feel extremely insecure. By doing so, he is actually endangering employment. He is lowering GDP, which will then affect the entire Bangladeshi population, because economic prosperity is the first sign that a country can live at peace with itself and with its minorities. And if the minorities have participated and are participating despite the most adverse circumstances in bringing prosperity to Bangladesh, why is he going after them? He can easily rein in his jihadi forces. He can rein in the students. The students are his creation. Now it would appear to me that maybe he doesn't have so much control over these jihadi forces that he has unleashed on the minorities, and he is therefore participating actively in the destruction of Bangladesh, in its economy, in its syncretic culture, and ultimately where does that leave him? He's destroying himself. So he should take action as soon as possible instead of trying to incite communal violence in the neighboring state of West Bengal. He should concentrate, as we've told him, to set his own house in order.
Right. Ambassador, thank you very much for being with us on First Post Spotlight.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Greeting you with aloha and namaste. I love India.
Presence, occupation of a territory by another country pertains to India, what we saw in Kashmir.
How do you see Trump's America?
Yes, the current administration behaves differently from the previous administration.
Are you saying that there are foreign powers who are trying to bring down the current government in Syria?
Exactly. Bluntly, Iran, maybe Russia too.
Prime Minister Modi committed to South-South, cooperation.
Not over 50%.
Is Ukraine prepared to pay the price for that peace?
No compromises at the cost of territorial integrity and sovereignty.